Hey Danielle, how are you?
I am doing okay. What week are we in COVID quarantine? Do you have any idea, or is it just a big blur now?
I think it's a big blur. I feel
Yeah,
like it's like four,
I think we're
four
like
or
at six.
five. Oh, look at me losing weeks, whole entire weeks.
So everybody, we are so happy to be back with you. This is Amy and Danielle, and Let's Talk. And today we are bringing you, let's talk about LGBTQ plus. So that's our segment. So Amy, LGBTQ plus, that's a lot of letters. What does that
It
mean?
is. So lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and then Q can sometimes you hear queer, questioning. The plus can stand for various different ways people are identifying. So
Right.
these are letters we should be mindful of. And if we're not sure, we should be asking, oh, well, you know, for you, how do you fit into this equation? If someone says they're LGBTQ plus, you can be, be honest, but be respectful.
Right. And I think a good way to start, I have now tried to implement this in my life, is hi. When I introduce myself, I'm hi, my name is Danielle Skelly, and I use her, hers, she, her, hers pronouns. If you start with your introduction with your pronouns, that sort of just invites someone to share that with you. So if you're not sure or you're unclear, if you sort of put it out there first and it becomes comfortable for you, then it invites someone. So that way it eliminates the, hey, what's your pronoun?
And just be respectful. Being respectful to other people is all you need to do.
Right. So for me, I think it's important just briefly for us to explain the difference between sexuality, gender, and gender expression, because I think people see sexuality and gender as the same, and then gender expression as an extension of that. And I think to really understand that there is a clear, definite difference between those is important. So I think people need to understand that gender identity is what our brain tells us we are. So my brain tells me I'm a girl. I have a girl body. So my biological sex is female because that's how I was born. My brain tells me I'm a body. I'm a girl, a body. My brain tells me I'm a girl. So my gender identity is female. My biological sex is female. My sexuality happens to be heterosexual. I am married to a man. But that does not necessarily mean it directly correlates between what my gender identity is or my biological sex. It's a totally unrelated idea. And then my gender expression is also usually most days female.
It's a social,
But when you meet me, you're like, oh, she's a girl, because I stereotypically dress like a female.
And we have to remember, that's a social construct. Masculine and feminine are a social construct. So it's not based on whether you are male or female. It's different. Masculine and feminine are not the same as male or female. And people forget that. And it's pretty basic. We just have to and
I feel like it's
realize
something
differences.
And I feel like it is basic for those of us who take the time to educate ourselves, right? And really be aware of being respectful of everyone. And I think some people kind of get stuck in the idea that I'm a girl, I'm a girl, I'm a boy, I'm a boy. Why do we have to muddle the waters? And I just feel like it's not muddling the waters. It is something that has been in existence well before, and we're in denial to think about it because there are lots of ancient cultures, Polynesian cultures in Africa, South America, that identify what they say is a third gender, or, you know, a gender of both, you know, where people encompass male and female. So this idea of two binary genders is really a construct of almost, you know, Eurocentric America ideas. It is not a construct that is existent in ancient cultures and ancient religions. And so I think we have to be aware and educated that because that's what we were taught doesn't mean that that's really the reality of it. And I think that's really important.
And the fact that you don't have to be defined by one thing. You don't have to be defined by your gender, just like you don't have to be defined by your job. You don't have to be defined by where you live or who your family is. You can define yourself by hundreds of different things. So defining someone because of a social construct like masculinity or femininity at its core is wrong. You know, people can let you know, like I could tell you, I'm a professional, you know, who works with adoptive, foster, and kinship families. But that is not how I define myself. It's not the only way I define myself, nor should it be, oh, Amy, you're a girl, you're only a girl. And I'm going to look at you, and when I see you, I'm going to think, girl, girl, girl.
Only a girl.
You know, I'm so many things.
I think it's a good point. I think it's a good point. And it's not for me to tell you, Amy, you're a girl and you're a boy. It's really how I define myself. And that's really about being respectful of my internal experience and how.
And on a human level, which is behind you today, it's all about humanity. It all boils down to humanity and treating everyone respectful.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Manner as a human, because that's what we are, all of us. So there's no reason we can't.
That's sort of where we come to kind of our next thing that we want to talk about is the difference between being affirming, being tolerant, and accepting. So, you know, the word tolerance really to me is not enough. It's not even a good word. Like, nobody should be tolerated. Like, when I'm in a bad mood, I tolerate my children because I have to. But it's not like I'm enjoying them or I'm loving on them. It's like, God, I'm not killing you right now.
Or if I'm your child, like, hey, my mom tolerates me. Oh, that's not very.
Exactly. You know, the goal is to be affirming. It is to be 100%. I love you completely and wholly and fully in who you are. Exactly. That is the goal, is that, you know, if you define yourself as female or male or homosexual or heterosexual, lesbian, gay, whatever it is, I love you fully and wholly. There are no conditions on who you are. And that's what I see as affirming. So let's like not talk about tolerance and even acceptance. Like, that's like, oh, I accept you because you wear glasses.
Yes. I'm accepting.
It's okay. I don't really like glasses, but I'll accept that.
Exactly.
Like, that's not really good enough. It's not really good enough. You know, nobody wants to just be like, oh, I'm not thrilled with that, but I'll accept it. It's sort of like,
and the message that it gives, you know, we're here in the context of adoptive, foster, and kinship care. The message that you're sending with tolerance and acceptance is how you just put it. You're not being affirming. You're not saying we embrace what you offer. We embrace how you
fully
feel.
And completely.
Yeah. So I think that that's important when we choose our words. Like, sure, I tolerate what the existence you have. All right. You know, no. What you're doing or the life you choose or the people you choose to be with, we can embrace that. And if I don't understand something, can I ask you a question? May I inquire about this particular feeling you're having that I don't necessarily
a willingness
understand.
to learn.
Yeah,
I think a willingness to learn and be open, right? That's really, to me, the root of being affirming is, I understand this. I don't know if I understand this, but why don't you teach me? Why don't you, I want to learn more so I can really embrace you fully. So I think that that's really important, because the next thing is, because we're here as, you know, from a from a kinship and foster care and adoption standpoint, what as parents can we do to create a really affirming environment? Whether we're foster parents, whether we're adopted parents, the real is even if we're birth parents, because statistically, kids in care, LGBTQ kids are overrepresented in foster care. And that is a problem for me. It is a problem for me. So how do we create an environment for these kids who, in a lot of ways, have already been rejected by their birth family because of whether it be their gender expression or their gender identity or their sexuality? How do we make sure that they don't feel any further rejection once they enter the system? How do we create that, Amy?
I think we start by understanding that there are additional stressors, you know, just by the sheer fact of being in foster care is a stressor. So if you add these other stressors, like LGBTQ plus children or youth are more likely to be in care,
right?
It's a compounded stressor. So I think being affirming, embrace the ability to be an affirming human, and try to learn and understand, and create a safe space. Let the youth know that this is a safe space, and if there's something I'm misinterpreting or misunderstanding, I want to be educated, or I'll help you and we can be educated together. Because maybe you don't, there are things you want to inquire about. And I think that just being welcome to anything, and to be open and to be a safe space is the most important thing. It doesn't take a lot. Like, you don't have to do some really special thing and have an unveiling.
You just have to say the correct pronouns. Don't make assumptions about pronouns. Don't make assumptions about clothing, you know, because they placed a girl in your home. You know, hey, let's go underwear shopping. Do you prefer boxers, briefs, or girl underwear? You know, really sort of being aware of that you can't make assumptions based on social constructs, right? So I think that's a huge thing, is just being inquisitive and open, and then supportive of the information you receive from the child or the youth.
And let the youth be your guide. As long as you create a welcome, safe, affirming, open home, a child will open up to you, and that's your hope. And I think it's as easy as that. I mean, when I say it, it seems simple in my head, but it's not always easy for us when something new happens or something different that we haven't experienced. But it's only different because it's an experience we haven't had.
Right.
Many people have had this experience, so we can learn from them. So connection is key. Connect with another parent. Connect the youth with youth that have had an experience similar to theirs, or who feel the way they feel, or identify the way they identify.
Exactly.
It's
I
another.
know for me, you know, in so many aspects of my foster adoptive journey personally, you know, being connected to other families, to other people that have similar experiences. So whether it be raising LGBTQ youth, whether it be, you know, raising young kids with trauma, whether it be raising children transracially, you know, whatever sort of need that your family has, or, you know, need for support, maybe really connecting and being in a room and not feeling alone is huge. So I think, you know, identifying your tribe, and that falls in line with this, not understanding this and needing more information. If you're not comfortable going to your youth, you know, the idea that you'd be willing to go to a PFLAG group, or you'd be willing to go to your LGBT network support group, or, you know, find resources in your community, join Facebook pages, all of these things to start to get informed. That's how you create an affirming environment. Really embracing the child fully is critical. It's just critical.
And there's plenty of ways to make connections, whether it's with an organization like the Coalition or an LGBTQ plus network. Like you said, there are plenty of connections to be had, where you can educate yourself.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
I know Amy and I have talked at length, not on this video, about sort of this being a core value for both of us. And we just hope that, you know, the families that we're connecting with start to make this a core value and really recognize that all youth however they identify, deserve to be fully supported and loved unconditionally for every piece of who they are. And that includes, you know, gender expression, gender, sexuality. You know, if you love children and you come into this with the purest of intentions, that should not be muddled by any of these types of things. So
every human wants safety and love. They want at least one meaningful connection. And if you can offer that to a child who has felt insecurity or shame, then kudos to you, because it's not that hard.
Right. So we hope that this was informative, and always know that you can reach out to the coalition. We would love to connect you with resources in your community. We have lots of staff that is passionate about lots of things, but definitely this topic in particular. So we would love to support you in this. There are tons of resources on our website. You can call us during the day. You can call our helpline.
The helpline, which is, I'm hoping, 888-354-1342.
I think that's it, because I have practiced it, so it would become more rote in my memory, because I feel like I've had lots of opportunities to screw it up and I don't want to. So yeah, we're not really sure what we're going to talk about next week. We're kind of exploring options and ideas, but we will be back next week to talk about something fun and exciting.
Keeping it real. That's what we'll call it next week. Keeping it real.
That's right.
And Amy.
So everybody, enjoy your week. Stay safe in another week of quarantine. Try and
find some joy. That's what I'm trying to do.
There you go.
Some joy.
I love it.
Little bit of joy. All right, bye.